right, what I'd like to do now, and I'm taking a leap of faith here, I'm hoping that everybody we need is with us, but we're going to transition into our second panel. Our first panel focused on changing the context within communities. Our second panel is focused on that same overarching framework, but looking at how that can be done within industry and municipalities. So what I would like to do is introduce each of our panelists and have them come out, and then I'll have the privilege of also introducing our moderator. Our first panelist is Scott Parrish, who is CEO of ADEC, and Scott will be talking to us about their statewide employer commitment. Welcome, Scott. Second panelist, Chuck Bennett. Chuck is with the Oregon Association of School Administrators. He is providing support to that organization, and he'll be talking about their statewide Year of Discovery. Sandra Larson, who is mayor of the city of Veneta, and I hope I've pronounced that correctly. All right, Sandra will be talking about their experience as a Heal City. Dan Gaffney, who is Classip Kinder Ready, speaking about their early childhood efforts in Classip. Thank you. And Patrick Christener. How close did I get? Kreitzer? Wonderful, thank you. Patrick is CEO of Tillamook County Creamery Association, and he will be offering some comments about their company's efforts about engaging with both employees and the communities of Tillamook. And our moderator is Julia Brim Edwards. Julia has a career that spans the world of politics, business, and sports, and at Nike, she serves as Senior Director of Global Strategy and Operations for Government and Public Affairs. Julia founded the Nike School Innovation Fund, which is a 5-year, $9 million investment in Portland, Beaverton, and Hillsborough schools. The initiative will lead Nike's efforts in the 10 Fields Project, which will install high-quality track and field facilities at every Portland high school. Please join me in welcoming our panel and our moderator, Julia Brim Edwards.
Good morning. Thank you, Mike. So the last time I was here, it was 1979, and I thought I was on my way I was graduating from high school here and on my way to becoming a PE teacher. That didn't quite happen, but I still found a career in sport that I loved. Mike, thank you so much for the introduction. I think you described the need and the opportunity very well. This is going to be a great panel to explore this topic. At Nike, we share the commitment to creating a positive impact in Oregon by helping to fuel vibrant, healthy, and active communities, and we're proud to be part of the Oregon Healthiest State movement, engaging Oregonians around the opportunity for collective action. Nike believes in the power of sport to move the world and unleash human potential. The reality, however, is that the world is moving less and less, and kids are growing up today less physically active, the most physically inactive generation ever. And we know at Nike, active kids are happier, healthier, and more successful, benefits we don't want kids in Oregon to miss out on. That's why we're passionate about helping kids fall in love with sport. Connected to getting kids active in education is our partner with Northwest Health Foundation and Kaiser Permanente to make sure that schools in Oregon sign up to be active schools. We launched the Oregon Active Schools program 2 years ago with a mission to inspire kids a lifelong love of physical activity. So far, the partnership has invested $450,000 in grants for elementary schools with the greatest need, and 56 eligible schools last year were awarded $3,000 grants. We were delighted and inspired to see how the schools use those funds last year. They did things like a school in Eastern Oregon built a half-mile track around the school to encourage physical activity, and a school in Western Oregon purchased culturally specific PE equipment and curriculum to encourage their Native American students to move more. Oregon Active Schools is helping to change the context for thousands of kids in Oregon to move more, and we're thrilled to see so many of you here today who are also engaged in this broader movement in Oregon. And I'm particularly eager this morning to hear from the panelists about how they're changing the context both in their industry or in their communities. And I thought we'd kick it off this morning by asking each one of you to share briefly, why is improving health important to your organization or industry? And we have a really nice mix, geographic mix around the state, and also a nice mix from industry and also organizations. So talk a little bit about why improving health is important, what you're doing about it, and how you're measuring it, just to kick things off. Chuck, you're looking at me. I'm going to pick on you to kick things off.
Well, thank you, Julia, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in this meeting. For the Confederation of Oregon School Administrators, which represents about 2,200 school administrators statewide, we're on what we're calling sort of a year of discovery. What that means is we're beginning to learn more and more about this issue and how it relates to students. We know it exists. As we have we've spent a couple of years working a great deal on poverty-related issues. You drill into poverty, you immediately hit healthcare as a tremendously important underlying issue relative particularly to students' ability to learn, better attendance, and then it is just across the board in K-12 education a cost driver for both the impact on children and families, but also on our budgets as the cost of healthcare has gone up and its impact on school budgets is being increasingly felt. And it'll be a major discussion topic, sort of along with wages, PERS, and healthcare will become major issues. The way we think the measurement's going to occur is, number one, we're seeing more and more districts, and you've heard a little bit about it already, spending time and money on programs related to health, specifically to health-related issues. The outcomes we expect are to see measurements in attendance, graduation rates. There are a whole range of areas that we can see and measure. I think as we work our way through this next year, we'll begin to determine what would be the best metrics to be using in terms of determining how it relates specifically to health-related issues. So we're very excited about this. There are other things we're doing I'm sure we'll talk about as we move along.
Great. Maybe shift to employer. Scott, if you want to share from an employer's perspective?
Well, from our perspective, it's the right thing to do. Business-wise, Ken and Joanna always set ADEC up to take care of its employees, and their philosophy was you take care of the employees and they take care of you. Today, we want to become more competitive by taking our employees to the next level, and it's also the right thing to do. I mean, health insurance and all the things going on out there are increasing in costs, and it is becoming more challenging. You know, some of the easier things we've done, and now it's like, how do we make some of these things happen? And we can sit down and work with employees and do development plans and help them find a purpose and help them financially reach those goals and help their purpose. We're tied to our community very well, so that's something we're doing a lot of. We're trying to do what we can around physical things and whatnot. We sponsor runs and pay for hood to coast teams and some of those things. So we're trying to do a variety of things. But some of the things we're getting to now is hard to do at a company level. You know, how do we support a group and help reduce body mass? You know, you need a group to help these people succeed, and those are some of the things that are more challenging. So for us, if we can get together and learn and put some metrics together and find out what's working, we can take our employees to the next level and hopefully help our employees, more satisfaction and better health.
Mayor Larson, share what's happening in your community.
Thank you. First of all, Veneta is a HEAL city, and many of you may not know what a HEAL city is. It's funded by Kaiser Permanente in Oregon, California, Colorado, Maryland, and Virginia. Veneta is a small town of 5,000 just west of Eugene. We are one of 29 Oregon HEAL cities. We in Oregon have been concerned with the health of our residents, as any city is. It's fundamental to any city. Since the incorporation of the city 50 years ago, which was spurred by a hepatitis outbreak. And residents realized that incorporation was the logical way to provide clean water and sewer systems. And since then, of course, public health has been a major issue in our city. That problem, of course, has been solved. We're very happy with our water supply and our sewer system 50 years later. The Heal City program has been a natural for Veneta in that sense, that Heal Cities are, the campaign provides guidance to public officials in the creation of policies that promote health in their communities. Measurement, city of 5,000, less than 5,000 actually, really doesn't have the staff or the resources to do major measurement. We depend pretty much on empirical evidence. So.
Maybe moving to the county.
Pardon me?
Yep, we're going to move to the Dan at the county.
I'm with a group that I appreciated Paul Stewart's comment at the previous panel about starting early. I work with a group called Clatsop Kinder Ready, which is a birth to age 8 focus area. We are looking at what's referred to as a P3 alignment, so pre-kindergarten through grade 3. And so when we talk about improving health, that importance of starting early with a good, solid nutritional background, knowing that the brain is pretty much 90% developed by age 4, that early start is really, really critical. And that's a piece that I, as a school administrator, experienced quite a bit during my career, knowing that those kids that had traumatic experiences in their life were at a disadvantage, whether that be trauma from environment or nutrition or whatever. So that strong start is really, really important to us. And so as I work with parents and preschool providers and child care providers, parents, the elementary schools, trying to make sure that we're all working together to have kids be ready for kindergarten and fluent readers by 3rd grade. We believe that is not only important to that individual child and that family, but it's extremely important to the whole community. When somebody gets a healthy start and a good, solid education, then they become contributors to society and leaders in society, as opposed to needing society to help them. And so there's great evidence out there that supports that, like 25% greater earning capacity when someone has gone to a good quality preschool. So we're behind those efforts to build that. How we measure those kinds of things right now, one of the things that we've done the last couple of years, and I know we're not unique, Tillamook has done something like this in the past for many, many years. We have an early childhood health and education clinic which serves 3-, 4-, and 5-year-old children. We're actually looking at expanding that to starting with 2-year-olds this year. And that's a free clinic where we are screening basic health issues, body mass index, basic physical exam, hearing, vision, nutritional counseling, behavioral counseling. Those kinds of things are all free to the parent who brings their child through the clinic. And so we've seen in the 2 years we've done it in multiple locations across Clatsop County. We've seen about 250 children, and we've seen some who have been referred for special education, some who've been referred for further exams and evaluations for various health issues, whether it be hearing or vision. But one of the interesting things was the dental screening that we did. Somewhere between 16 and 20% of the children have been referred because they already have active decay. Early intervention is important. And those are some of the things that we are looking at as far as measurements to see if we can reduce the number of kids early on who have those needs.
Moving to the coast.
So, at Tillamook, we seek to provide a comprehensively positive overall experience for employees, an enriching experience. And we understand that a big component of that is meeting them sort of wherever they are on their journey towards health and wellness, and providing resources and an environment and context that to kind of provide help along that path. Also, as a large employer in a couple of Oregon's smaller communities, we understand we have not just an opportunity but an obligation to play a leadership role in some of the social, important social and other issues and challenges and opportunities facing the communities where we operate. And as we heard this morning, and we know, particularly in rural Oregon, health and wellness are important issues in those smaller communities. As Scott said earlier, it's the right thing for us to do to get involved in health and wellness with our employees and with our communities. Of course, there's more practical motivators there as well. We're self-insured, so we see a direct relationship between the health and wellness of our employees and our medical costs. We also understand, as Scott recognized as well, that the performance of our business and of our teams and also are enhanced when people are healthy and have a better quality of life because of strong health and wellness factors. The other piece, I guess, is that for us to operate in these smaller communities and be able to attract and retain employees, we need vibrant, healthy communities. And so for us, it's the right thing to do, but there are a lot of practical, kind of direct financial and other practical business reasons to get involved in supporting the health and wellness as well.
Patrick, maybe before you hand off the mic, you and Scott, maybe if you could just reflect on how have your employees reacted to your initiatives related to improving the health and well-being and physical activity of your employees?
Yeah, sure. So we've implemented quite a few different programs and measures over the last couple of years. And, it's key that you use a lot of positive language and, as I mentioned before, kind of meet people where they are. Also build a sense of community around the activities. I'll note as well that we put in some programs where participation provides an opportunity to lower the employee's contribution to their healthcare costs. And some of the programs that are fairly involved, for example, on-site biometric screening, on-site health and wellness counseling that are tied to those premiums. And so you kind of wonder how are employees going to react to that? Are they going to feel like it's a little bit heavy-handed? But by using positive messaging, and also by having it be part of an overall effort that shows that we're genuinely interested in the well-being of our employees. It's been well received. Actually, I thought we'd get maybe a little bit of resistance to some of the programs, but we haven't.
Patrick, we've had a lot of the same experiences. We've had a health fair the last 4 or 5 years. In the last 3, we've brought on a mammogram, and each time we've found a woman with breast cancer, which has been a really, really positive thing for us to catch it when it's early and whatnot. And really, we've tried to make sure we let people know the benefits of that and whatnot. But we are getting to some of the more challenging things. The obesity is a harder thing for us as a company to try and, excite them around and help them with. We're doing a lot of things with exercise and runs and different things, but getting the whole group there is some of the challenge, and that's part of what I want to be involved in is how do we get better at helping these folks? How do we get the communities that will support these people that help them be successful when they don't think they can lose that weight and some of those things? Because I think we're all doing a lot of things. We're trying to take care of our employees, but a lot of the easy things have been ticked off. And how do we get better at this and really help them and change some of our cultures? We have a great system of doing a lot of potlucks, but when weight is one of your issues, how do you change that culture a little bit? You don't want to take that away from the employees, but we do need to be more conscious of some of these things. And so that's some of the learning I'm excited about that we can do as a group and a state and move forward as a whole, because the cultural things are going to be the harder things for us to kind of break down and not keep those, but keep the good parts, but also bring in some healthier type of things to the culture that we have.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to, in 10, 20 years, harvest some of the benefits of the work that is happening in Clackamas County, the work that Nike's doing with getting kids active early, because what we found is if kids get active early in life, it becomes a lifelong habit. So hopefully the employers will benefit from this down the road. Just turning to Chuck, you mentioned one of the challenges being just the financial costs, potentially. Maybe each of you could talk about one particular challenge you've had and one success maybe that you're particularly proud of.
Well, I think and I'm going to look at K-12 statewide rather than COSA individually. We're a small organization, really. Our success is that I returned from a short illness, I guess, at this point. I'm still thinking about this potluck culture, but
it's deeply
so
embedded
let
in
me
the school
clear my
culture
head
as
of
well.
tuna casserole and get down to business here. I think that what we saw recently, we did a statewide tour meeting with school superintendents and principals around the state. And we found a whole batch of successes localized around the state where school districts are successfully working with their local, quite often CCOs or some other organized healthcare organization. But what we heard a lot about as we asked, what do you all need when we go to the legislature looking for funding? What are the kinds of things you need to spend money on in your school district? And we expect always to hear about class size, new buildings, we need a new roof, the boiler shot. That kind of are the kind of common things you hear. What we heard was we desperately need mental health professionals, particularly at the elementary grades. And that came as a genuine surprise. We did this a year ago and we heard we need counselors. But this time it was quite specific, and it was dealing with issues involving trauma, involving the impact of we felt as we came home from it, poverty in communities, particularly as we got out into the rural areas of the state, which is where we spent most of our time, because when you want to go out and see Oregon, you're going to spend a lot of time in rural Oregon. Where we found a tremendous success, and I think it's an outgrowth of the work we're seeing in early childhood education that has been fostered over the past several years, and with kindergarten coming into its own in the past couple of years. I'll give the example of Pendleton, where they were able to go to their voters and say, we need a bond measure that includes revamping an elementary school into an early childhood hub. And in that hub, you have daycare, you have kindergarten, you have other early childhood activities, but you also have WIC, county mental health, a health clinic, and it's serving whole families. And that, I thought, was one of the really tremendous successes I saw out there. We see it locally manifest. Gladstone School District has done a real model on a hub, as well as David Douglas. So these are starting to develop statewide. They do take a lot of work, a community dedicated to seeing, particularly with these young children, the kind of healthcare opportunities they do need early in their lives to address the issues that will make them successful students, we hope, through their college years. That's certainly the state's direction at this point. So there's really quite a bit going on out there.
Great. I want to pass it to Mayor Larson.
Thank you. I would like to point out that Little Veneta, has a worksite wellness program for its employees as well. Our 16 full-time employees, we have about 95 to 100% participation, regular challenges, flexible work schedules for exercise, rewards, monetary and otherwise, for healthful activities. So, and that was, of course, one of the elements that qualified us as a HEAL city. Hard to pick the most important recent development, but probably it would be with the help of a HEAL small grant, Veneta was able to fund the preliminary design and a feasibility report for a safe bicycle pedestrian path from the community of Veneta to Elmira, which Elmira is actually where 3 of our 4 district schools are located. It's a distance of a couple of miles. It's now walked and ridden, but dangerously so. So we're hoping now to have that included in the state transportation program. Challenges, as in any city, funding.
Thank you. I think our challenges and our successes are one and the same. Being kind of a new group to pull ourselves together as this P3 alignment, it's a matter of bringing 5 school districts, various preschools, not very many of them, unfortunately, in Clatsop County, child care providers, some are licensed, some are not. But to do this early childhood clinic, one of the really rewarding things was being able to go to our 2 local hospitals and our federally qualified clinic, our community college, and say, would you like to be a part of this? And without hesitation, they were all there, because we see that early investment is so important. The challenges are, that people are willing to give of time, but not necessarily finding the funding to continue these kinds of things all the time. So there's more time spent trying to find that rather than actually doing the work sometimes. But I trust that our successes will bring that kind of support. I think the things that are developing in Clatsop County with the Way to Wellville program, bringing together a variety of representatives of our community to look at what are the big needs, narrow those down to 4 focal areas, being able to have our Early Learning Council hub, which is newly forming and finalizing their strategic plan, having them combine with our CCO and really serving the full person, the full community, the full child, the full adult. That to me is very exciting, because that's kind of who I've been in my career and continue to be in my new career. So those challenges are finding the time, the resources, but the enthusiasm of everybody, that when you approach them, it's not a question. They said, yes, we want to be a part of that. And finding that to be one of their higher priorities in their already busy lives is a continual reminder. But it's a good one.
Great. And I'm going to shift the topic because it looks like we have time for just one last question. And maybe just 1 or 2 of you could respond to this. And this is a question regarding equity and focusing on communities that have experienced health disparities. I know for Nike, when we were involved in looking at physical education across the state in public schools, that what we found is that if you were a child in a school that was predominantly low income or had a predominant population of students of color, that you were much more likely to have less PE than other schools. So really a marked difference. So I'm wondering if any of you have an example of what you're doing or are thinking about doing in terms of addressing some of the real health disparities among our populations?
Just a quick comment, I think, related to the topic. So, this model of collective impact, I think, is a key, and broad community involvement is a key to ensuring that we're addressing the unique challenges of underserved communities. We have an exciting kind of development, an example of collective impact in Tillamook County. The commissioners, Tillamook County commissioners earlier this year declared 2016 the year of wellness in Tillamook County. And the tremendous amount of support and engagement and activity that initiative, even in the run-up to 2016, has received and acquired in terms of employers, nonprofits, the county health department, Oregon State University Extension, kind of a really broad base of volunteer-driven activity. But in terms of making sure that we're addressing the unique challenges with underserved communities, I think making sure that we have a broad model of collective impact, and also addressing some of the fundamental issues related. For example, we can talk about health and wellness, but if there's a high degree of food insecurity among certain populations, those issues kind of fall to the wayside. So ensuring that we're addressing the fundamental needs of those communities, I think, is also key.
Great. Anyone else want to have a...
I would just add that, again, not only with our early childhood clinic, but really what Way to Wellville is about is finding ways to serve those that are most in need. And with Clatsop County, I can speak to the schools and say that every one of our elementary schools qualifies for free and reduced lunch. So they're 50% or greater in that level. And that leads us to be able to have a dental sealant program, which we're hoping to expand through the dental initiative that we pursued, again, partnering with our CCOs and schools. And so I really see it as a big plus that we've got a lot of collective interest, and I think we will have that impact.
Great. So it sounds like both having a broad base and sort of the power of collective action allows you to reach a really wide spectrum of the community.
Very much true.
Great. So I just want to wrap up. Thanks to the panelists. I just to summarize, we have a really diverse group of people here representing both industry or employers and also community organizations. What I heard is, just to summarize some of the themes I heard, the power of collective action, the importance of early health interventions, screenings, incentives, making sure those incentives are meeting employees or people in the community sort of where they are. So instead of the stick, the carrot, appropriately. And then mental health, and then also in terms of employers, it doesn't matter if you're a medium or larger size employer or a small one like the city that the mayor referenced, how important it is for employers to make a difference with their employees. We heard about the importance of water and sewer systems. I'm not going to put on the list banning potlucks, and I won't mention that you suggested that, but just some great ideas and the work that you're doing, and I think it's very representative. If you take this group here and then expand it across the state, you can see how eventually we're going to have a real impact on the broader community. So thank you all for what you're doing and for participating today.